Well, on one of our first adventures out, we spot these muleys. Some does are running across the field, and we decide we're going to follow them. So we follow these muleys because they're way too far away to get a shot with the bow here. Plus, we're still in the truck. So we followed them, and they stopped, or were heading for this bush. So I pulled over, and we decided to stalk up around the edge because they're on the south side of this bush where they stopped, and I'm quite a ways away. I'm just stalking up to see if they're still out in the field there. Here I decided to cut through the corner of the bush because they were over on the far corner. And I'm hoping I can come through this bush without them spotting me and get close enough to take a shot with the bow. Fortunately, we come out the other side of this corner, and lo and behold, all we find is open field. I've got a feeling that these muleys continued over here in their hole up in this bush. So there I am. I'm going to circle around the edge of this bush and see if I can, moving slowly, stopping and checking to see if they're in there or if I can see them and maybe get a shot. But it turned out to be of no avail, sadly. So we continue the story, and off we go. Now here you see us in a spot that I pre-scouted, and the muleys are traveling up and down this little ravine here. And we've set up in the edge of the bush in ground blind, or using it as a ground blind, using the bush to block our silhouettes. And we're hoping that the muleys will come traveling up that little ravine there to this bush as they use it to travel from field to field. And they'll come up that coulee that's down in the middle of the field there. And they'll come up, and there's a bit of a rise here where we're sitting, and they usually come right up here, and this is where they enter the bush. You use the bush to travel through, go over to other fields. And there we have some of the snow geese traveling by too. Little footage, some awesome hunting opportunities in Saskatchewan. Just a beautiful, beautiful place. Well, on our way out to set up for another mule deer stand one day. We're on our way, and the snow geese are putting on a show. As I said, goose hunting here, deer hunting, elk hunting, and it's paradise for me because this is all within minutes where I live. But here are the snow geese, and this is not an uncommon sight in Saskatchewan to see flocks of these birds like this during the hunting season. It's amazing. And this year, of course, with the COVID thing, we don't have many hunters up. We do have an outfitter locally here that does bird hunts, but this year he wasn't doing any hunts because nobody was allowed to come up over the border. You can just imagine what that's doing to his business. He also does deer hunts and bear hunts. I may be setting up for bear this spring locally myself, since they're talking about really having a lockdown situation, and we're not even going to be allowed to travel in our own country from province to province. But we'll see. Look at these birds. Just literally thousands. We did bump into another bird hunter while we were out, and he was scouting too for the place to set up for the next morning. And he did set up next morning. And this clip here now, the things you see when you don't have a tag, but you can't make it out too well there, but there's a nice cow moose right there. 23 yards. Standing there looking at us. There she is.
62 yards.
So we had her at less than 20
before.
No tag.
And no tag.
Nope.
And here's some more mule deer we spotted. But we don't have permission on this little piece here, so there was no chance of trying to stalk them and get a shot. I believe in getting permission. Excuse the camera moving around a little bit here, but Jason gets things figured out here. I think he was just trying to find his zoom or whatever. But yeah. Boy, it'd sure be nice to have one of those mule deer in my freezer this year. My deer meat's not going to last very long. Unfortunately, this year, we did not get a mule deer. But we did learn a few things about mule deer. And I will be better prepared come next season. And I will have permissions for all the places I want to hunt.
Are we centered?
We're centered. We're fine.
We're on
guys.
the air.
We're on the air. We are actually recording. We've got sound. We have everything. We're good. Anyway, hi guys. Jason and Greg from Tool Guys with Crossbows. And we're talking about mule deer.
Mule deer.
Not about killing them. At all.
As Jason was saying, I was rather upset with him when he first came up for the hunting season, because he was supposed to come on Tuesday, and I had been out spotting a good week or more before, and I found some mule deer, and they're hanging around this one field, and there was a buck in there. He wasn't huge, but he was a nice eater. I'd say he was probably 3-year-old. And I called Jason. I said, okay, I found the buck. I've got permission. Went and found the landowner and got permission so we could hunt there. And he says, oh, well, I can't come tomorrow because I got things to do, you know. And I went, really, you're retired. What could be so pressing that you're going to cut into our hunting time? Because another mistake we made is we didn't realize that mule deer here opened on the 1st.
Mm-hmm.
So this was already like the
September
6th or 8th or 7th.
Was the conversation. The 7th I was supposed to come up, and I didn't get here till the 8th.
Yeah, and anyways, so I went out to see if these mule deer were still hanging around. And so I went out, I thought, well, I'm just going to park and try to get what their behavior is like. Where are they coming from? Like I wasn't sure where they were bedding, but I had a good idea that they're probably bedding in the field. Well, I pulled into the little inlet that is there to enter the field where they come in with the tractors and the combines and the semis and everything else. And I'm sitting there, and I sat there for about half an hour, and I'm waiting for it to get time for them to start moving, which was close. It was around 5 o'clock or whatever. And I look down for a second, and I look up, not 30 yards from me, that little buck stands up. He's sleeping right there in the field right by the road. And I thought, wow, like, you know, like he's right there. And then he lays down again in the field. I can see him, I can see his antlers, he's just laying there. If I would have had my bow with me, which I didn't because Jason didn't come up, and we are getting older, so I didn't bother taking my bow because I thought, well, I don't really want to shoot him on my own because it's a lot of work to drag a deer out of the field or whatever, and that's why we hunt together. We call it two old guys with crossbows for a reason, because we hunt together, and we hunt together for a reason. That's because we're getting older, and it's a lot of work to go out in the bush for us, anyways, and shoot a deer and gut it and load it up and bring it back ourselves. So there's this deer 30 yards from me, and I had plenty of time I could have got my bow out and everything. If Jason would have been there, he would have been in the truck, because a few minutes later he stands up again and he just saunters on down to the coulee. There's a little draw in the middle of that field. So anyways, I thought, okay, tomorrow Jason's coming up. I'm gonna go home, go to bed, and we're gonna get out here, you know. Anyways, we did get out there, and guess what? All the machines were there. There was a combine parked right where he was sleeping, and they cut the field.
There was.
So
Yep.
that muley was gone.
Yep.
We still aren't even sure right now where he moved to. I think I seen him just a field or two over. He won't be far away, but but they're cutting all the fields, and that's why I think next year we're gonna have to get out there September 1st, and we're just gonna have to get at it and find these muleys, because they love to bed down in these grain fields.
Yep. Standing grain, not the stubble.
Yeah, that's right.
They're not happy with stubble.
Yeah, and once they do cut it, well, they tend to start, and in the winter they'll bed down in the bush like the whitetails do. But muleys love it out in an open field. They'll bed down out there where it's sunny and it's warm, or whatever, and also they can see in all directions. They can hear anything coming. They can see in all directions and that. And yes, I watch YouTube videos with young guys that sit there and they spot them out in the field, and they crawl on their hands and knees for 2 hours. And you know, I can't do that anymore. That would be a lot of work. My body would never forgive me, I don't think, if I tried to do something like that, you know.
Probably.
But my strategy is if we can find their movement, it's much like whitetail, like muleys or a different deer. They don't come into bait regular, so it's really hard to bait them. It's finding a spot where they're crossing, mainly, like going from their bedding area to their feeding area, or where they're bedding, and basically setting up close enough so that when they get up and they move, and you know which way they're going to move, you try to be there with your camo on and descented, and hope that they get close enough, like a lot of whitetail hunters have to do. Fortunately, here in Saskatchewan, we can bait. If it wasn't for baiting, it would be a lot more work. Like we'd have to be out there in a tree stand, trying to hope that those deer come walking by. With the whitetail, we have a great spot. We've been hunting there for the past 4 years, yes, we filled both our whitetail tags this year. But it might not be as much of a problem. The muley, they travel further too, and so we're still learning about them. And hopefully, as we learn, we'll let you know what's been a success for us and what we made a mistake at.
One of the things I'm going to say is that I'm sure I have footage of this that Greg can dig up. But basically, we started the night that we unfortunately found the field cut. We went down the windrow. Here in Saskatchewan, they have long windrows of trees dividing the fields. And so we went down the windrow and we sat and hoped for a deer to come. And so they were in, and we did see deer. Like, it's not that we're not seeing them, They're just not anywhere near in range.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there nicely, and we see 2 deer on the other side of the field going into a bush.
Well, actually, they woke up in that draw that I was talking about. They were down there bedded in that grass, and they got up, and then there's a little bush, 2 bushes actually, in that, because that field is split. There's 2 bushes, and that draw goes right up to each one of those.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they run up to that bush to continue on, which they can travel through quite easily, and then there's a draw, and then there's a road, then quickly cross the road, and they're in another field or a bush again. So our strategy then was, okay, we'll come back out again, and we'll sit by the bush, and we'll wait for them to come up that draw, and where do I see them? At the top end of the field, at that draw.
At the top end of the draw. So it's not that we're not like seeing deer. We are seeing deer. It's just they're not where we are, and it's been very frustrating.
Yeah, and
but it's been fun.
Last year we did some scouting, but we didn't have nearly as much time last year in that. And I did see this. He was a big muley too, like a big mature muley, and almost every day he was, like I said, he had a trail that he followed, and I thought there's a perfect bush there. If I put on my leafy camo and everything, and I get all descented, and I just go in there and sit in my hunting chair and I wait, and I'm still, like I can get him, you know. But again, Jason only had a certain amount of time because he was still working last year, and he had to go back to work, and that left me alone. And I thought, if I shoot that big 300-pound muley, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to retrieve him out of the field myself. Like, and I don't, and I'm limited for help out here. Most people I know like work and stuff, and at that point last year, I didn't know a lot of people out here. Another thing you don't want to do is I don't want to call my neighbors and get them to come out because they hunt too. And next thing you know, they're in my hunting spot. So
that is part of the issue.
I'm quite protective of it. Like, you can ask me where I hunt, but most of the time I'll lie.
Yeah, exactly. No, you know, like, we may figure it out this year, but we'll definitely figure it out next year. And that's the joy of this whole thing, is we started hunting whitetail here, and we've been relatively successful. But we have learned so much.
Well, I guess you could call it very successful because we filled our tags every year.
We have filled our tags every year. But we've also made some errors, made some changes, and now we have a system that's just about a guarantee now on whitetail. And, you know, we're not big buck hunters. If we were big buck hunters, we'd be having a bit of a problem, but we're not. We take, we hunt for
the meat. I want it in my freezer.
Yep.
And and I don't even know what muley tastes like because I've never tasted muley. I don't know. I might not even like muley.
Well,
but one thing I do like is I like bear.
Yep.
And I like whitetail. And I love moose.
Yeah.
And we put in for moose
3 years in a row.
Or 3 years in a row, 4 years in a row.
3 years in a row, and never got drawn.
And never got drawn because moose is all draw around here.
Yeah.
Again, with the mule deer, if I had a rifle, one of those deer would have been down because they were within rifle range. But again, rifle is all draw, and sadly, they only draw 50 mule deer tags. So we didn't even put in for the draw because they've now started selling over-the-counter archery tags for mule deer. So that makes it that much more difficult because we're out there with the crossbows. We have to bring those muley in that close. I can't take a 100-yard or 200-yard shot at a mule deer.
Nope. But I actually prefer the way we hunt. I actually prefer the crossbow. I prefer learning how to get the animals to come in close to you, and it's just fun. It's we
well, it's just getting out there too.
Yeah.
Like, I like to get out in the archery season. Like, it's the weather's better and everything. As I'm getting older, I'm not so apt to go out and sit in a snowbank to shoot coyotes and stuff. Like, it's just too cold, you know. And but when I was younger, I was out hunting all winter if I could be. We'd be rabbit hunting, we'd be bird hunting, late deer seasons, all of that. But as I'm getting older, like, yeah, I like to get it done early when the weather's nice
Yeah.
and I don't have to deal
Yeah.
with the snow and the
Haven't had to
cold.
put our. Well, I did put my parka on one night when we were sitting for mule deer, but other than that, no parkas, and it has been a fantastic September.
Yeah.
And
Not like 2 years ago.
yeah, not like
2 years ago, we went out. I was sitting in the elevated blind. We didn't have the ground blind, the shack, and I was sitting up in the elevated blind, and he was down in the pop-up blind working the camera, and it was cold. After 3 hours, I said, "Okay, I got to take a break. Like, I got to go warm up." Like, and I had all my gear on, but when you're just sitting up there and it's drizzling and sleeting, and it's about -1. It gets cold,
Yep.
and the wind is blowing, and yeah. So
And
2 years
for
ago,
you
it wasn't
Americans,
all that.
and for you Americans, -1 is actually about 20.
30 degrees.
Is it 30 degrees?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
0 is 32.
Yeah. So 30 degrees.
So just at freezing.
Yeah.
But when it's like drizzling, like you said, and it's kind of damp and it's wet and
Yeah.
there's a breeze. You'd be surprised when you're just sitting still, like your toes start to get cold, and it gets to the point where I just start to shake, and then I know, like, okay, I got to warm up because I can't even stop shaking, and I don't like it.
No, neither of us like the cold. My ultimate goal is not this winter because of COVID, but the winter. Next winter, I would like to be in Arizona for the winter. So we'll see how it goes.
And we're doing this interview today about the Mule. Not that we've been successful with it yet, but Jason is heading back to the city. He's got some things to do, and that with his wife and that. And but anyways, hopefully he's going to come out next weekend, because we do have a couple of weeks left of pretty decent
Just
weather
about a
before
month.
the cold
Yeah.
really starts setting
Yeah.
in. And I'd like to get out there before all the other hunters get out there too.
Yeah.
Because rifle season opens up in another 3 weeks, is it? Or
3
2?
weeks.
Yeah,
3 or 4 weeks.
And once then they're running all over the place. The deer
Yeah.
are pretty skittish, and I think our hunt's pretty much done. But with any luck, we'll fill at least one tag with mule deer this year. If not, we'll try again next year.
You bet.
And we'll just have to do a little more educating and learning. And maybe,
getting out there before they cut the
yeah,
fields.
get out there before the fields are cut. Get out there on September 1st when we're
Yeah.
able to. Whitetail opens on the 15th, so if we can start September 1st, maybe we can get our mule deer early.
Yep.
Get them in the freezer, and then we can.
Concentrate on the whitetail.
But please help us out. If you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button. It builds our confidence, and also helps build our channel. And hit the like and share button.
Yep.
Even if you think it's a thumbs down, give it a thumbs down. Just smash that button. Thumbs down, thumbs up. Because it all helps YouTube. The more likes and shares we get, the more they will share our videos around.
Yeah.
Whether it be a like or a dislike, it doesn't matter. It's a small thing to do. Please just hit one of those thumbs up, thumbs down. It's up to you. But we really appreciate you watching, and we hope that
And
you
your
do subscribe
comments.
and staying with us. Yes,
And your
comment.
comments.
If you have any tips on mule deer, please leave
Let
them
us
below.
know. Other than crawling through fields, we're just not into that.
Not anymore.
No, way too old for that shit.
The farmers usually tell me, they say, "Oh, we just shoot them off with a tractor."
Yeah.
But
No.
we aren't farmers, so.
Yeah.
And I'm just joking. But they say they do see a lot of them. They'll be combining away, and they'll just get up and they run over 100 yards, and they lay down again, and then
Yeah.
as they get close, they get up and they run 100 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
They're
no,
all over the
we're
place.
we're narrowing it down. We do have permission on almost 1.5 square miles of land now for mule deer. So, and we're asking, like, that's the biggest thing with us. We don't just go trespass. We always ask permission.
Always get permission. I've seen mule deer that I could have just shot, like, there's a lot of hunters out there, and I don't believe in it. I call them the drive-by hunters, like doing the drive-by shooting. They're driving around, they see a deer, and they get out of the truck, they grab their gun or their bow or whatever, and they shoot it. You know, and now with the new Saskatchewan laws, I guess that's really going to be can be a big penalty, because now you have to have permission.
Yeah, which has never been a problem for us because we've always asked for permission. We don't go anywhere where we don't have permission to go. And it's just been our way, and it's proven really helpful because, you know, we've met a lot of people that way.
Yeah, a lot of good people.
A lot of really good people.
And yeah, like the fellow where we've hunted the whitetail for years. It's almost become a friendship. We stop in and see him. We help him if we can if he needs help. But we also, at Christmas time, we always give them a Christmas card with a little bit of cash in it, just to show our appreciation. Yeah, those are the things you can do. And I stopped by just a couple of weeks ago and dropped off a pie for them, because I went to the Hutterite shop, and they had it open. I bought some vegetables and stuff. They had some real nice creamy rhubarb pie. And I bought one of those.
Which is very good.
And I was on my way out to the blind anyways, and I just stopped by his farm, and I dropped it off with his wife. And they appreciate that. They realize that we appreciate what they're doing.
Oh yes, we definitely appreciate every landowner who gives us permission.
Yes. So, anyways, that's what's coming up. Hopefully there will be a mule deer hunt video in this. I do have some footage that I'll probably put up, probably another video. This is just kind of an interview one to let you know what happened, but then we'll show you what we've seen and what we've been through. We do have footage of us being out there sitting in the fields. Yeah. Trying to get those mule deer.
Us sitting in the fields with the mule deer on the other side of the field.
Well, you know, it's like that's another thing that I think we need to do, is we need to get out there and study them a little more.
Yeah.
And study their movement. Yeah. Because, like I say, deer follow a pattern. Most animals do. Yeah. You know, the thing is then the big problem is you get into that pattern, you try to get in close enough, but then all the stealth comes in, and that's the descenting and the camo and everything else. Because if they know you're there, they will change their direction and they'll go a different way.
You bet.
But
anyway, thank you very much.
That's it for now.